Welcome back to another episode of the Silly Little Girls Club. My guest today is Karrie Fitz. She is the founder of the incredible agency Kit Studios. She's also a very good friend of mine, my manager. She represents me as my agent, also does the PR for my businesses, and is an absolute powerhouse of a woman. She advocates for other women. She elevates and just really drives our industry to be in a better place, and as an all-round incredible human with an amazing, amazing story. So I cannot wait for you to listen to this conversation. Welcome to the Silly Little Girls Club, Karrie.
Yeah, it's mad. It's so good to be here.
I literally was so glad you agreed to be on this. So to listeners, for context, Karrie is, well, firstly my friend, but also represents me as my management and does all the PR for my businesses, but is an absolute powerhouse and has this incredible company called Kit. And I don't know, every time I speak to you about anything, I just find everything so inspiring. And I was like, when I needed a guest for the podcast, I was like, it has to be you.
Oh, thank you so much.
So
That's
thank
so
you.
amazing coming from you, of all people.
No, don't even. It's like, honestly, I just think for this podcast, for Silly Little Girls Club, the whole premise is about, you know, women supporting women and overcoming different things. And honestly, I've not met anybody that really embodies that as much as you. So like having like you in my corner for one, but also being a guest and sharing your story, I think is going to be really inspiring for everybody. So I'm very excited. So I guess the first place to start is like, because you were a hairdresser.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
which
was a hairdresser.
yeah, and now you've obviously gone to you founded Kit. Like, tell me about that journey a little bit. Like, where did this go, and where's your career sort of like woven you?
Sure. I mean, it's a long-winded, but I'll go for it.
Yeah.
So I started as a hairdresser when I was 16. I dropped out of school. And actually, it was my mum that was really, we need to get you a good training. So thanks to mum, she sent off a CV to one of the best salons in the area where I'm from, I'm from Kerry, but it's in Limerick. And I got the job somehow. And I was 16 living in this, it was a big, huge city for me at the time. Right now it's small, living in London. And I started my career there, and it was, I just started off really wanting to be the best at it. And I tried and tried, and I kept working harder and harder there. And I actually stayed at that business for nearly 9 years.
Oh, wow.
So I did loads of competitions, and it was a thing called trend spotting for L'Oreal. Got on that and came to London and did a competition, and that kind of opened up my eyes to, okay, maybe there's more here. And then I moved to London when I was 25. I came over on a holiday for a weekend, and I was like, I think I want to live here. And I reached out to a woman who I knew, Debbie G, who is Sassoon's lady, and she was like, right, let's get you a job. So I started working for a big company over here, and I was there for 2 years, and I was like, this is not what I moved to London for. There's something else. And I couldn't quite figure out what that was. I guess I was, a drop out of school at 16, had no real education, and didn't know. I loved everything about hairdressing, but I knew life behind the chair wasn't for me. So I then started to look at L'Oreal, and they had an opening for an education role. And I interviewed, didn't get it.
Okay.
Went back a second time, and I got it. And that was then, I think, when things started to slowly change. I was at L'Oreal for 5 years. For the first maybe 2.5, I was teaching everything from colour specialist to cutting to everything in between. And that was a real changer for me, because I was a really shy person, and presenting wasn't my skill set. I was, hiding away from behind the camera or not wanting to be at the limelight. And making that transition was huge for me.
Yeah.
And also standing up in front of loads of other hairdressers.
Terrifying.
And really teaching people how to use the products, but helping different people in different ways to understand it, and not bore them to death was like the challenge. So yeah, fast forward then, I started to get, you see that there's a little bit of repetition. I got a little bit bored. of teaching the same thing over and over. So I was like, right, what else is there for me? And then this is when, very similar to your journey, Instagram was just launched.
Yeah.
Right. And there was this shift in how everybody communicated and how, people were putting things out there. And what I recognized while I was at L'Oreal was that they had a L'Oreal Pro UK account, which was talking to consumers at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was working with these incredible guest artists, and Trevor Sorby was coming in every day and other big names.
Yeah.
And we had like the L'Oreal Colour Trophy, but we weren't talking about it. We weren't showing it anywhere. And
Right.
I was like, are we not missing something here? Why are we not talking to our clients, the customers, the hairdressers? So we set up a pirate channel, me and my boss, and it was under the radar,
Yeah.
but it grew so quickly. So we grew, I think it was like 35,000 in 6 months
Wow.
organically.
Yeah.
And also it was a couple of 1 month we were called to a meeting with the head of marketing, and they were like, close it. And I was like, oh, that's a shame, but okay.
Yeah.
And then they're like, actually, wait on, let's do another week. And it was like this week on week.
Oh my God, living on the edge.
Literally, that's why it was a private station.
Yeah.
We were like, literally felt like we were like under the radar. So it was really funny because they didn't see the need for it. But then as it grew, they were like, okay, maybe there's something here. And that was then the total shift for my career, basically. So when they saw or they recognized that I did that, I think it proved to them maybe she can work within the comms team.
Yeah.
I really had to kind of crawl my way and prove my way quite a bit. And so then at that stage, then I started to get a little bit of traction with some of the guest artists. And one big name asked me, would I help him grow his profile?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm not really sure what that entails, but let's just do it. And it was an Instagram DM conversation.
Yeah.
Try this, try this. And we just kept having huge success.
Brilliant.
And that was then what set me up to have Kit today. It was, we grew him to over 300,000, grew his business, got him some, really great ambassador deals. And I was, representing him and doing everything. And then from that, kindly, he'd mentioned me on his Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I had 4 clients, and that's just skipping out the rest of my career journey, which was also moving to Hamburg to work for Henkel, also working for the Body Shop, and then slowly into Kit.
Yeah. So that's amazing. And I feel like for me, whenever I think of Kit, I don't really think of it as a business. I feel like Kit is like a movement for our industry. Like it's so poignant. And I think like our industry, for want of a better way to put it, is sometimes really looked down on, and it's not really championed in the way that it should be, because, we're advocates for making people feel amazing, for like, some of the like best, sharpest business people that I've met are in hair and marketing, and I think there wasn't really anybody that really got that and championed it until I met you, until we found out what Kit was doing. And that's why I feel like Kit's become a movement. And what I mean, I refuse to believe that it's just working with one person isn't a happy accident that you launched Kit, because I feel like this is something, is that kind of like your vision? Like, what is your vision for Kit?
Yeah, really great question. My vision has always been to work with the best in the industry, to elevate them and give them a platform where we can make them look even better. So I saw that there was a gap for an agency that really zoned in on extremely talented people. So it's quite common to have representation within the session world.
Mm-hmm.
That's not where we lie. That's not our expertise. Our expertise is the hairdressers, the real hairdressers behind the chair, who work for global brands like yourself, who are highly, highly skilled, extremely good at what they do. One of the biggest things is that they're extremely sound. Zero egos. There's a strong policy at Kit. We really don't work with any egos because life's too short.
Yep.
And I guess the vision was to, really highlight them, help them become household names, and make sure that the world knows that hairdressing is hard. Like, it's such a hard skill, and there is, the people who we work with are really the top 5%. So it's such a small number of our clients, and that's really important to us, that they fit within that radar, so that we are championing the best of the industry and making sure that their voices are heard loud and clear.
Yeah, I think that comes across, because I feel like everybody at Kit is just so sound, and it's not just about like having that core hairdressing talent. It's about ultimately being able to champion the industry in the right way and be the nice people that propel it forwards. Because I don't know how you feel on it, but I just feel like the stigma around hairdressing is just so it's just so outdated. Like the whole just a hairdresser thing. And it's just like, and that's what I love with what you do with Kit is like, and we're not really just, well, we're not just hairdressers anyway, but we're never seen as that. And that, I don't know, it just seems quite an incredible like gap that you spotted.
Yeah, I think it's huge and there's so much work to be done, to be honest. Like there's even, our like for like, which would be a makeup artists, they're already elevated within their name,
Hmm.
So there's a really interesting topic of we are part of the creative industry, but sometimes we're left out, especially in the important parts. So there's so much work to be done to really zone in on these people. And for me, it's all about the craft because the rest can be learned and the rest is, obviously it comes with an awful lot of hard work. That's something that fascinates me is how hard you all work
Mm.
and how much you put into your careers. It doesn't come easy. It is, it's a grind, but actually you have to be really good at what you do. And that's the hardest part, right? Understanding the color theory, understanding how to be behind the chair all the time, but also like you running a huge business and, managing that. It's just so much comes with it. And that's what fascinates me.
Yeah, but the business, I just love the business world of it. And it's like, well, you'll be knowing, I'm sure now Kit's growing and stuff. Like, that's kind of the fun part is putting all those jigsaw puzzle pieces together and growing something. Like, I love that. I mean, why do you think that hairdressers are overlooked? Like, do you have a theory on it?
I guess it's just how it's perceived and, I, I take myself with that brush, right? I dropped out of school, there's probably a high number of that. And also I think one of the skill sets that I'm really proud of is that I'm a kinesthetic learner. So I learn from watching. I learned how to drive from watching my dad drive. I didn't ever get a lesson,
Really?
and that's something that I think, happened with Instagram as well. I looked and I watched.
Yeah.
And I think people sometimes don't value that skill or don't see how that skill can take people so far.
Mm.
And I think hairdressers are overlooked because it's just seen as a school dropout career sometimes, right?
And yeah, and do you think that kind of learning style people don't really see because there's not like, it's not a measurable thing, is it sometimes? And I think people don't understand it and it's,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think within the UK we're lucky because it's seen better than it is anywhere else. But when I lived in Europe, it's even worse.
Yeah.
You've got even harder battle down there. So it's really interesting, and I think there's a lot of work to be done, and it's something that I'm trying to unlock constantly.
Mm.
And that's one of my drives for Kit is that. I think I drive the team mad sometimes with everything we put out has to be designed within an inch of its life because that is elevating us.
Yeah.
Because that's the gap that I recognize that sometimes everything out there just looked a little bit distasteful or maybe not elevating the talent enough. So if everything paired with talking about talent looks elevated, we're then elevating everything. And that's probably one of the biggest drivers for me.
Yeah, I think, yeah, elevating it and making changing perceptions really, isn't it? And like
Yeah.
just being forward thinking because again, I think there's so much like habitual habits and legacy brands within our industry that, they've had a formula that's worked for donkey's years. And it's like, people are a little bit hesitant to change because like, I mean, as soon as Kit came across Love for me, it was like a breath of fresh air. I was just like, I remember we met at Fitzrovia,
Yeah.
and it was just like, this is perfect because we'd been trying to meet for a while, and you messaged me when I was on holiday, and then when I came back and we met, and I was like, I didn't even realize I needed you in my life, and that was like 3 years ago now, and I think that's a big misconception as well. Is like people don't think about actually what you can do with a career like hairdressing. Like there's so many avenues, and like you say, it's limitless in a way. Like there's so much to be done, and like I think having a company like Kit, like really champion people and find those opportunities. Like, has it evolved since you launched it into this?
Yeah, like it's evolved. It evolves every 6 months. It's crazy. I feel really lucky in the sense that we have had a really exciting, positive journey. Like I said, I started with 4 clients. Actually had 4 clients, then I was still working at a full-time job, and I thought, right, maybe I make something of this.
Yeah.
And because of the nature of, I guess, what I bring to business is the social element and growing profiles, and it helps that people like to talk about that on socials as well. So that's kind of been our sales tactic for quite some time, right? Like it's been a very much word of mouth for a very long time. So it started off actually, and the gateway to our agency is all about mentoring. So it's all about giving people the space, and whether that moves into business mentoring, like Daniel Garner in Ireland helped her set up like an infrastructure so that her Instagram worked like a well-oiled machine. So it can go from that to helping a profile grow their socials, to anything from, you know, finding your niche or finding your purpose and really zoning in on your story that you're trying to tell. And that's where it all started with every client, including yourself.
Yeah.
That's how we started. And that is the best way, because that's my gateway for, are these people sound? Do they have what it takes? And do we see where this will go, you know? And then I guess the next part then was, I think you spoke about this with Emily Austin actually, was like the shift from in digital sphere within that like 2012 area, right? When social became so embedded into PR, but it was still almost outside, because maybe PR departments were a little bit afraid of it, and it was, you know, a new thing that was this, you know, beast. And that was something I think that was like the infancy of my career, and somewhere where I always felt really comfortable. And what I actually hadn't done was really connected them. So I think I had Kit about maybe 6 months, and there was Rachel Grieve. You know,
We love Rachel. Shout out Rachel.
Shout out Rachel. So she was somebody who I looked up to massively, always within the trade PR world. And I met her at one of these events, and she was like, "What you're doing is amazing." And I was like, "Oh my days, this is like the best compliment I could have ever had." And she ended up joining us really quickly after that. And that was then the shift of, oh, actually, it's even though we're social first, there's such a PR pull in this.
Yeah.
And the more that we can get our clients' names out there, the better it is in every sphere. So that was then a new arm to the business, which was this PR thing. And then, of course, we, as you know, Holly Kelly came.
Yes. And yeah, I'm sure if anyone's a long-time listener of the podcast, then Holly is the co-host of Out of Office, and
Exactly.
it needs no introduction.
Absolutely not. So yes, she came to the table, and she, you know, is driving the consumer arm to the business. So yeah, we're slowly growing, but we, you know, thoughtfully and purposefully. But there is a big vision, and there's a big goal that we're going towards. And yeah, I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, every 6 months, there seems to be something like that comes along, and like it's always growing, and it's really inspiring to be a part of. And I think going back to what you said earlier about, like, you know, being the hairdresser, but not wanting to be in that world, but also not feeling comfortable maybe in that limelight. I feel like your real superpower is that mentoring aspect, and like, you know, really being able to, I've never met anybody that has like, that can really align someone's vision for them, because I feel like I'm a really messy client for you, because I'm just like all over the place all the time, and I never know what my vision is. But then when we have our calls, it's like, right, this is it, and this is where you're going. And you're like, oh, that's exactly it. But how do you come to like a process for that? Is that something you just learned throughout your career, or have you like got a system for helping people find and navigate their way? Because I'm sure people feeling lost, like listening, because like we all are really.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it was trial and error, to be honest. Like, you know, I think what happens is the questions that we ask within the mentoring or consulting, whatever we call it, are so important. But I always start with, well, what's your end goal? Where's the vision? And that stays in my mind. It's like, it's a cement block for me. You know, like my very first client told me he wanted to be a global ambassador. That was what I was doing. And everything was feeding back to that. So when it's the same with any client that we work with, everything is feeding back to that. And then I think what I've also promised myself as a founder, and as one of my responsibilities when working with high profile people like yourself, is that I will not shy away from having awkward conversations when it needs to be had, in terms of you're going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You know, because I found that when people get bigger, less people speak up to them. Yeah. Less people tell them, and they're too afraid. And I promised myself I would always be that honest person of, look, this is what's going wrong here.
Yeah.
why don't we just take a slight pause? Why don't we redirect and we move forward? And I think that's been one of the most valuable things for people, because I need it myself.
Yeah.
You have so many yes people around you.
Yeah, you don't need an echo chamber.
You don't need an echo chamber. And I learned, very not long ago that actually your most valuable people are the people who will do that,
Yeah.
right? Who will stick in your corner and make sure that you're not making mistakes and not afraid to put themselves out to make sure that you're going in the right direction.
Yeah. Like Stay Studios wouldn't be called Stay Studios if it wasn't for you, because I can't even remember now what the hell I was trying to call it. And it was like a week before the signage was being made and everything was kind of done. You were like, Sam, the name is just completely wrong. And I was like, and as soon as you said it, I was like, I know.
Yeah, and that's exactly a perfect example, because my heart was pounding telling you that, because I know that you'd thought so much about what you had. You'd almost put loads of work into that. And I knew telling you that was like a bit of a bollock.
Just a
realization.
Me and Greg had like 3 straight sleepless nights brainstorming.
I
new
knew that was the
names.
case, exactly.
But had you not told me that, I don't think it would be anywhere near like the success that it's had and the brand that it has, because it feels so established with only been a year. But I think, having that, you say it's so important to have people that just like, that's wrong. This episode is brought to you by our season sponsor, Sephora. And if you haven't been to Sephora yet, where have you been? It's the ultimate beauty playground with 8 stores across the UK and a line of brands that you won't find anywhere else. I'm talking Tower 28, Merit, Glow Recipe, Makeup by Mario, all of the viral faves under one roof. Whether you're into skincare, fragrance, hair care, or full glam moments, Sephora's got you covered. Honestly, it's the dream. Head in store or online to explore the magic.
Well, that's it.
But having difficult conversations like that is never fun.
Never fun. It's the least favorite part of my job, but also I think it's the best. I think I'm really realizing it's the most, like, being a founder, you're basically in therapy 24/7 with yourself. You're just met with all of the versions of yourself where you're like, okay, how can I be better in this situation? How can I show up better? What can I do better? And it's always about yourself. So it's like,
it's exhausting. Like, honestly, sometimes it's exhausting. And that's why, you know what, when someone does show up and is honest with you, and you're just like, oh my God, it just takes that pressure off a little bit. Because like, even when you're forging ahead, and sometimes I don't have the time sometimes to like think about, I make a decision and that's it. It's off the to-do list and it's done.
right. Yeah.
And so, having like, a team of people around you and the right people who champion you, it's just like, you trust them implicitly. So, when someone says something to you, it's not, they're not saying it for saying its sake.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do you like mentally prepare to tell somebody that? Is it just,
I think a question is, what's my motive for doing this?
yeah.
And if I can answer in my head that it would be better for them, then I know that it's better.
Yeah,
It's the
right
best thing to do. I mean, I always meet it with like, it's my opinion and I'm not always right, but this is what I'm thinking. Because I'm not always right and sometimes I'm wrong. But I feel like I just have to get things off my chest or I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah. Are you quite good at doing that for yourself though? Like objectively looking at things, or do you have somebody that would?
I'm getting better. I do have a mentor who is incredible. Shout out to Simon Shaw. And I think that's really important, is having somebody in your corner who you can speak to when the emotions come in and you have to detach them. That's what I struggle with.
Yeah.
Right.
When it's your baby.
When it's your baby and you're so attached and everything just gets a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
You just need someone to be like, okay, this is the reality.
Come back down.
Yeah.
Let's just rein that back in.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think. And it's so funny because when you have these conversations, we know the answers, but it just takes that like collaboration almost to find your way through, right?
Yeah, and I guess that's one of the most powerful things of being a female founder is the emotion and everything that we bring. But it's just being able to harness that and work with it rather than letting it control it, basically.
Yeah.
It's been my biggest learner in our 4 years now.
Yeah. Gosh, it's 4 years. That's crazy, isn't it?
4 years, yeah.
I know. And then, so obviously you're balancing like founder life with being a mum as well. How on earth do you do that genuinely? Because I just never know like how people do that. Because I just think, God, you're so busy. And then I always think, God, if I ever have a kid, what the hell would what would I do? I'm just like, has that been like a real challenge for you?
Yeah. I think there's been, a slight naivety going into it, thinking we'll be grand. It's different, comes from my father. It's a great aspect of the business, my business acronym that I have, that all be fine. Everything always works out, and it does work out, but it's definitely a challenge. And the word balance is, it's already frustrating in itself because it's forcing you to have balance. But you just can't have everything, right? Like, I mean, not at one time, but
No.
maybe at certain times. And there was, I remember when I was pregnant, heavily pregnant, and I'd hired someone to take over my mat leave. And I actually had to have a word myself to back off because I was like, I didn't want to leave. And I was like, I'd hired someone to do my job, but I was like,
Yeah.
like, just couldn't.
Yeah.
That obsession and just like, yeah. And it's been the best thing for me actually was handing it over, really understanding delegation and also really understanding like how to trust people and to, really like move away because that's all it is, right? Like delegation and all that. Like it really comes back to having trust and knowing that they'll look after your baby as well as you would. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's always like terrifying. It's like, building a team is probably, I honestly find that that's been the most challenging part of actually running the business is like bringing the right people in and, empowering them, but also handing over that responsibility. Like I was talking about it earlier, is like, as your roles change throughout a company's like evolution, like for me, having to stop doing clients was like wild. And I'm always conflicting and having conversations with with yourself, like as a founder. And one of the things that I really realized is like, it's like I've just had a promotion. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like your roles have changed.
Yeah.
I'm basically not doing that part of the job anymore because I'm doing a different job. And that really helped me like
Yeah.
connect that. But it is that, isn't it? It's that change that, and you still want to do it all, but you can't.
You can't. Exactly. I remember that day that you rang me up and said, I'm thinking of dropping my client days. What do you think? And I was like, please do.
You and Clark, I think, were both like, I was for some reason, I think, ringing everybody for an excuse for someone to say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
that's what you want,
yeah,
guys, because your safety gets good.
and then everyone was like, yeah, like you should have done that ages ago. And like, I should have done, but it's still really hard because I still get DMs now being like, we do my hair. And I'm just like, GPT, help me answer this.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard. I'm the same when we have clients that like, just aren't right for our business. I do the same. I'm like, I really want to work with everyone.
Yeah.
But I've learned who's not the right clients. It's not giving them justice to do that, right? So it's them ChatGPT how to let someone down. It's worse.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, is that like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm devoid of empathy because I'm like, how can I not craft a message? But you just don't want to upset people.
I don't want to upset people, but you're actually doing worse by not replying. You're ghosting, so it's the worst.
Oh, that is, yeah, exactly. So if you get ghosted, that's even worse, isn't it?
Worse, yeah.
I mean, I suppose, the Kit mantra of like basically no dickheads, I think is like, it's quite a nice way to do it. But what is your process for working with people? I guess like, is it just that they need to be a nice person? And
it's one of the biggest things, to be honest. Yeah, because I learned very early in my career that, I worked with quite a person who I would say was very difficult, made me very stressed and anxious. And I promised myself when I set up Kit that I would never let that happen to anybody who worked at Kit.
yeah,
Because it was every day of feeling, completely anxious. And that's been, one of the really strong parts of Kit and I think it's helped me in recruitment. It's helped me in keeping staff because I think they really respect that. They've seen that, that I've made decisions to make sure that we are all protected in that space. But how do we work with people? I guess, they have to meet a criteria, it's just like any representation, right? I need to make sure that what we offer will work for what they need, right? And we've gone through the process and we've, I think we've made a little bit of a shift this year in terms of how we're working, and we've downsized actually because I felt that, there was a need to really zone in rather than we're such a small agency and we're kind of spreading ourselves a little bit too thin. So now, it's really about, working with the top of the top. And as I said, the craft is number one. So making sure that they're extremely talented in what they do. And then that they have something to say that's important, like that's one of the things that I think I'm most emotional about as well within the industry is there is voices within the industry that piss the living life out of me because they are just, they have cult followings which generally are outside of London, who haven't really figured out that this person is actually toxic.
Mhm.
And these people are getting, jobs with brands, and there's people who have bought their followers and
And still getting rewards for that.
still getting awards. It just drives me insane because we have, these insanely talented people who work extremely hard, and you're picking them.
Yeah, I know.
So that is one of my biggest drivers, is really, right, how do we surpass them? How do we find people who have a really good story, like yourself, like Connor James Doyle and his neurodiversity education process, like that stuff's important.
Yeah.
you
That is
know?
important, and and is overlooked sometimes because of these like shiny talisman controversial characters
Yeah.
that are still like, I mean, I could rant on this forever, but they're still spreading that legacy systemic issue within our industries. It's just not changing anything,
Yeah.
and it's toxic and it's wrong, and it's like you say, it's just overshadowing everything.
Everything. And there's so much goodness in our world. We don't hear about it, right? Anna Kerfo and her charity for,
Oh,
yeah. And Ashley Hodges, what she's doing for the fellowship,
Yeah.
like insane. She's not getting paid for that, but she's working so hard.
Yeah.
Who's talking about that?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
that not something that should be on every podcast, should be on every post?
Yeah.
Because that's the goodness of our industry.
Yeah.
And that's what really pisses me off.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I think that's why we that we're so aligned with our missions and like getting that out there. And, it gets to the point sometimes where I mean, it gets dangerous when I've had a glass of wine and you've got Instagram in your hand and you just want to scream from the rooftops. It's just like, this is so systemically wrong. Like the treatment of apprentices at certain brands that I've like the stories I hear, because obviously, having a team of there's like 50 people now across all of these sites that I have, and they've all come from different places, different salons, different cities. And obviously, when you interview them, they don't get into those sort of things. But when they started and they're new, then they start to be like, this is so different here, and this is like this. And you find out, like, you hear stories about what they've been through.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon. And still to this day, and I'm just like, I mean, it's why I started Samantha Keys of London in the first place, was because, I had so many issues working in different types of salons and for different people where it was like, underrepresented, undervalued, underpaid. And like much like yourself with Kit, I was like, I am never putting anyone in that position. And I think that is one of those ethoses that makes our companies so special.
Exactly.
But it's like, you hear these things, she's like, when is enough enough? And when are people like, going to stop giving those people a platform? And when are we going to uplift the people like the Ashley Hodges, Connors, like, or like Danielle Garner that's doing all these amazing things?
Exactly.
Like, yeah. And that's what I feel like why I'm so like Team Kit, because we're fucking doing it.
Exactly. And it just keep chipping away, right? Like it does make a difference. I know it does. And I think even having these conversations, but also the next generation coming up behind us, they're no fools, right? They see it already and they're not standing for it, and they are going to the better salons.
Yeah.
And the problem is with the other salons is they're not, they're not getting the staff right now. We're seeing that recruitment is an issue.
But also, who is coming through? Who's that next generation? Because our industry has been so trodden down and so like, it's like the poster child for people that don't even have lunch. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like it's known to be toxic, and it's not like that everywhere.
No.
And so people aren't even coming into the industry.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we change? I mean, it's such a bigger conversation, but this season of the Silly Little Girls Club is proudly sponsored by Sephora, the beauty destination where everybody belongs. Whether you're a beauty beginner or a full-blown beauty obsessive, Sephora has something for you. From trans-led makeup masterclasses and appearance-inclusive tutorials to expert services and founder talks in store, the events are next level. Add in prestige products, inclusive vibes, and that dreamy Sephora collection. It's a big yes from me.
Yeah, it's a huge conversation, but I think having founders like yourself, like Daniel Garner, as we said, creating space for that, a safer place to work and also a mindful place to work. There are those options out there, and like, you don't have any problems with recruitment, neither does Daniel Garner. So, there is that, it's definitely working, but I think, I mean, there is a pandemic of people coming through the system for sure, which makes our job even more important, to highlight the incredible stuff that you get to do on a daily basis, which is bonkers, like having a podcast that's sponsored by Sephora. Hello.
Yeah, sponsors are up there.
So yeah, having a sponsorship, like, everything like that, that's, that's the opportunity that people have on the table.
One of those questions that people always ask me, like, what do you like most about hairdressing? And I honestly, the only answer is that there's limitless possibilities, like limitless. If you
Yeah.
have a trade and you have like that dedication and, we do work hard, like, but you can really do anything. And that sounds a bit like, "Woo," but
Yeah, you
you
can.
can.
You can.
Yeah, especially when you've got a kit in your corner.
Yeah.
And they'll launch a podcast for you at Soho House and all of those mad things.
Yeah, exactly. Incredible. I mean, I must tell you that, you know, when I worked at L'Oreal, I remember your name being like
Fine.
yeah, because you were in the infancy of growing this big social media platform really quick, and I think a lot of the big people were like in awe of you. And
But no one ever spoke to me or talked to me. They just like sat and watched then, like waiting for it all to come crumbling down.
what do you mean?
Like I feel like I never like that must have been years ago though, because
I
then
think that was when you first came, right?
yeah, and I
First
felt like
came.
nobody ever really spoke to me or came to me because I didn't do any industry stuff for five years.
Oh, really?
So well, I mean, when I first met you, you had to like basically get me to do
Oh,
industry
the
stuff.
industry stuff, but you always did the consumer stuff though.
The
because
consumer stuff, yeah.
the audience, right?
Yeah.
But I remember when, that was happening. And then when I was looking for new clients, and you were my dream client, so that is one of my career highlights was like,
Oh, stop it.
the fucking kiss. It's amazing.
I
So,
know, then I'm more in awe of all the other people on your roster. And just like everybody you've got, like the team, it's just, and then because we cross in different ways and do things like I get to team up with Connor and do like education and like it's just built this like community. Like that's why I see Kit as a movement more than anything because it's built this community of really like-minded people whose goal is to elevate the industry and make it something that it should always be.
yeah, absolutely. And that was something I recognized very early on was that actually you never get to meet or combine or spend time together because it's not like you're competitors, but you're never in each other's space. And in any time we had any get-togethers, that's what everybody loved.
Yeah.
Like, I actually get to speak to people who have my life, and they resonate with it so well because you are so unique, and your day to day is so unique.
We're all just nuts.
Yeah, you are pretty nuts. Like, but it's amazing. It's incredible.
I've put some little talking points together for us because I knew that I would just gone for tangent and a rant whenever I'm like with you. I'm just like
No worries.
so I'm like I want to just make sure that I've hit everything that I've got on here because like um it is like things like we're talking about like staying relevant and stuff in the digital landscape. It's like how what like, because obviously I know as one of the people that get to be mentored by Kit, but like what advice would you give to like people in that industry that want to really make the most of this digital age that we're in and really capturing, pulling that it's really just like a really amazing tool, and how would you get them to use it? Like, because so many people don't still, right?
Yeah, there's different stages, isn't there? I mean, that's one of the biggest questions. I think the hardest thing to do, and the people who I've seen really succeed in it, are able to step outside and look down on themselves as if they're another person. And that's where people get really, I think, confused. People get confused about who they're speaking to, like who's their audience example, and what's their message. And, because hairdressing is such a broad skill set, what should I be focusing on? Do I need to focus on one thing? The niche topic, like there's so many things. But if you can, really go at a bird's eye view and understand what is your goal? Like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to get new clients, or are you trying to get a brand campaign, right? Where is your audience? Because if you're going after a brand campaign or an ambassadorship, you need to be talking to hairdressers because that's their audience and they will need that from you. Otherwise, it's a consumer angle, which, if you're speaking, you want new clients, of course, brands want the consumer angle too. So there's different ways about looking at it, but I guess it's more about, right, what is your work? What stands out? What's the best part? And simplify your story. And then, there's a lot in how you're telling that story. You need to be vulnerable. You have to be honest. You have to be raw. It's, nobody, you just bore people to death if you're not.
Yeah.
And trying to be something else or somebody else is so transparent. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it's hard work. Like, that's all the kind of fundamentals of the strategic approach. But then there's, doing it and doing what Instagram wants to do. Because remembering Instagram is essentially a machine, right? You just have to do what it wants you to do. And that's all the things like, post often, maybe regularly, consistently, and are using all their features, and then making sure that your engagement rate is up, making sure that you're thinking about what you're putting out there, making sure it's engaging for your audience and you're the right audience you're speaking to. So there's so many. I mean, that's just but there's a lot involved there. But it's really about tuning into what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then going ham at it.
Just go ham at it.
Exactly.
Perfect. Right. So I'm going to finish some quick fire round questions for you because I always think these are really good. What's one hair trend you wish that would make a comeback?
Oh my days.
Well, this is going back to your hairdresser days.
I mean, I'm really into what are they called when like it's blonde on top, brown underneath? No, there's like it's like
Liz
literally-
McDonald from Coro.
yeah, or it's literally like douche. There's
Yeah.
no
Like where they dyed
no
brown
brand.
underneath, and then I saw Miley Cyrus had that for a while. It
Well, maybe
looked
she did.
sick, but so coffee, tea, or matcha to keep you going on a work day?
It's tea now. I switch between matcha and coffee, but caffeine drives me insane.
Yeah, caffeine fucks me up. I can't even do it.
Gets so
Like,
anxious.
I feel like any female founder that can drink coffee, I don't know how you're doing it.
Exactly.
I cannot.
And I also can't have caffeine after 11 a.m. or else I can't sleep. So
Fair.
very
I just can't have it at all. I'm having palpitations, sweats, and think I'm having a heart attack.
exactly same.
So, a book or podcast that's recently inspired you?
Ooh. I mean, Emily Austin's episode. Yeah, it was really good. With yourself, Steady Little Girls. But also, I love My Therapist Ghosted Me.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
just,
good podcast.
it's my escapism.
Yeah.
It's just, you forget about everything. You just have a giggle. And it really, because they're both Irish, it really just brings me home. And it just feels really good.
That's why I like the girls' bathroom because they're both from Nottingham.
Oh, really?
And so, like, when I listen to them, I'm like, it's like listening to like the friends that I had in Nottingham. I was like, oh my God, this is too good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Just
funny.
takes you back. And
Familiarity and
forget about everything else.
yeah, it's perfect. And then, do you have a go-to song that would like, if you're really needing to get in that headspace for like a meeting or to tell somebody that they're making the worst business decisions of their life, like naming their salon something stupid? Do you have like a song that would be like you could put on and be like, right? For random question.
No, I don't have one, but I have a playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Crackabin is my general go-to to just chill me out. I listened to a lot when I lived in Ibiza, so it just takes me back there.
When did you live in Ibiza?
Oh, I moved to Ibiza in lockdown. Did you not know this?
No,
I launched Kid in Ibiza.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is another episode.
We packed up all our stuff, moved to Ibiza. I thought I was going to literally have Spanish babies over there. Well, my Spanish, his Argentinian husband.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to literally live there for the rest of my life. But we came back after 4 months because we didn't know anyone. We were both lonely. But we launched Kid and it was a great time. It was complete lockdown. But yeah, we came back to London because we missed it.
Oh my God, at least you had that experience.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
oh my God. Actually, and you still got that Ibiza connection because that's where Rach is, and like
Yeah,
now
but we
Sam's
met
over
when we were
there.
there. She just moved as well. So
So
that's
funny. See, it's fated.
Yeah,
How everything's
exactly.
always connected like that.
Sav is there now.
Yeah. Oh my God,
We're
wait.
up to
So
numbers.
we're gonna have a kit trip to Ibiza, right?
Well, yes. I've been talking about this for so long that they're all now like, just stop bringing it up because you're teasing us.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing all of that. And like, I've learned more about you now, even though I know you very well. So,
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
oh my God, thank you. And
Absolute
yeah,
pleasure.
let's keep killing it and raising this industry to where it needs to be because that is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. While I have you, it would really help me out if you could just hit follow or subscribe, depending on which platform you're getting your podcasts from, and I can keep bringing you these amazing conversations with these incredible guests. And yeah, I will see you next week on the Silly Little Girls Club.